My name is Coach Erik. I am the founder of the Effortless Running Method.
เป็นทั้งนักกีฬานะคะเป็นทั้งโค้ชนะคะรวมไปถึงการเล่นไม่ว่าจะเป็นวิ่งเป็นเทรลเป็นไตรกีฬานะคะวันนี้บอกได้เลยว่าเป็น top performers มากๆนะคะ
We transitioned to a fully vegan diet, and surprisingly, it was beneficial for my athletic performance.
But at the early stage, like does a plant-based diet negatively affect on your performance?
I don't think so. After being plant-based, I was 1 second faster. My recovery is just so much quicker than when I was using animal products. I get really excited about your product. Is it good for the planet? And does it hurt any animal?
สวัสดีค่ะเพื่อนๆชาว Xtrail ทุกคนนะคะวันนี้มาพบกับแอมจาก Xtrail นะคะวันนี้แอมไม่ได้มาคนเดียวด้วยนะคะได้รับเกียรติศักดิ์มากๆนะคะก็คือว่าวันนี้ได้รับมีแขกนะคะที่โอ้โหบอกได้เลยว่าคนนี้นะคะเป็นทั้งนักกีฬานะคะเป็นทั้งโค้ชนะคะรวมไปถึงการเล่นไม่ว่าจะเป็นวิ่งเป็นเทรลเป็นไตรกีฬานะคะวันนี้บอกได้เลยว่าเป็น top performers มากๆนะคะเอาเป็นว่าเราไปรู้จักเขากันเลยดีกว่าค่ะนั่นก็คือคุณเอริกนั่นเองนะคะสวัสดีค่ะ
ครับสวัสดีครับ
Hi คุณเอริก how are you today
I'm very good thank you very much and thank you for having me
Thank you, and it's such a pleasure for me to have a chance to interview you today.
Likewise, I'm very excited.
Yeah, all right. Would you like to introduce yourself for a bit? Like, who are you, and then what do you do for a living?
Yes, I think you already said it beautifully, but I'll say it in English because my Thai is not that good. My name is Coach Erik, and I've been in Thailand for the past 12 years, and I am the founder of the Effortless Running Method. So what I found was that a lot of people don't know how to run properly, or they have an injury, or something is painful, or something is just not quite right. And knowing how popular running is in Thailand, like with trail running and with road running, even with track, with the masters categories and everything, I started to develop a method and started to help coach people online and offline to run better and to enjoy running.
That's great. Yep. And I watched some of your video as well on YouTube. You are very famous, through like the running people. I still remember your technique, like lean, pull, and sweep, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So what I found was that the more I dove into it, and because of my background, I like the biomechanics. I like breaking down a movement. And what I found is that it's when you look at two groups that run really, really well, that they are the East African long distance runners, the Kipchoge and the Caleb. They run so beautifully, so easily, so effortless. Mm-hmm. And I saw the same when you watch kids run as well. They have some of the same characteristics. So if you're under 10, then you run naturally. You run like you don't think about it, right? And you just run easily. And that started me on this journey of wondering, like, how come we're not able to run like that anymore when we grow older. And so I started breaking down the movement, and then what it really comes down to, if you do the three things you mentioned, the lean, the pull, and the sweep, then you can kind of come back to how you were running when you were a little boy or a little girl. And so that's what I teach in YouTube videos and in my training class.
Yep, that's very helpful. Mm-hmm. And as I'm aware that you're not just only being a coach or the athlete, but you are a vegan athlete as well. Yeah, so can you please tell us a little bit more that when did it happen and why did you switch to a plant-based?
Yeah, Well, this is why we connected, right? Like, and this is why I get really excited about your product. So about 7 years ago, a friend of ours challenged us to say, "Can you go 30 days without meat?" So try to do the 1 month of no meat. Mm-hmm. And both my wife and I said, like, yeah, let's give it a try, right? And we found that almost within a couple of days, first days were a little bit difficult, try to find like, oh, what should I eat? How can I substitute? But we really quickly found that actually it makes you lighter, gives you more clarity. And I started to feel better overall. And when the 30 days were over, we just kept going. And all of a sudden we were vegetarian. I still used the dairy products in the beginning. So it was a slow transition because I wanted to make sure, like, I was obviously concerned with my performance as an athlete, right? Yes. So I wanted to make sure that I still got the right nutrients. So initially I switched to not eating meat, but maybe eating more eggs and have more cheese. But then I started, when our second daughter was about to be born, we started to phase that out as well. And so over the course of maybe a year and a half, we went from fully standard diet, meat-based diet, we transitioned to a fully vegan diet. Oh. Fully cutting out the dairy products. And for me, it has been a really, really interesting journey. And surprisingly, it was beneficial for my athletic performance. It didn't deteriorate my performance at all. And what I find now is that my recovery is just so much quicker than when I was using animal products.
Okay. In case for those who are watching us right now, a lot of people confused between vegan and vegetarian. Could you please be a little bit clarify further, what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, there's so many categories, right? Like people can say like, oh, I eat fish, but no meat, or something like that. So basically what it means is that if you're a vegetarian, in my definition, okay, you're a vegetarian, you don't eat meat, but you may still drink dairy milk. You may still have cheese. You may still have eggs. If you are vegan, you don't take any animal products. So the type of vegan, I think by definition, I'm not a super strict vegan, because the way that I eat vegan is I don't eat anything that is an animal product. But somebody pointed out to me and said, yeah, but you still have a pair of leather shoes. And I was like, yeah, okay. So, for instance, my family and I, we sometimes have honey. And if you're a very strict vegan, then I think you also don't take those products. But that, for me, what is important is that does it help my performance? Is there a substitute for my performance? Is it good for the planet? And does it hurt any animals? And I think we're doing a good job so far.
Yep, you did great so far. Yep, it depends on everyone's choice and give the meaning of it. Yep. But the key important part is about the happiness that you take, and you feel much better yourself. Yep.
Exactly.
I heard that you mentioned about once you switch from the meat, taking meat to the plant-based, it's really helped you in terms of recovery. You feel the performance much better. But at the early stage, does a plant-based diet negatively affect on your performance?
I don't think so. Maybe in the first week or in the first 2 weeks, you're kind of searching how can I substitute what I normally have as energy intake. How can I substitute that with a plant-based product? That requires a little bit of a transition, but it wasn't hard at all, to be honest. A little bit of research on the internet shows you good alternatives for meat-based products. Your bean intake goes up, your green leafy vegetables goes up. What I mostly found was that I am eating more. So I'm eating bigger volume of food to try and get the same energy intake. So if you like eating, being on a plant-based diet is pretty much saying like you can
enjoy eating all day
anytime you want. Yeah, especially if I'm training for like one of the ultra distances, if I'm training for like 100K, then you want to have enough energy, right? And so yeah, you can basically keep eating all day.
Yep, and I heard that not just only feel, that you feel better, recovery better. It's all about the feeling, but you also like track your records as well, right?
Yeah. So being a scientist, I want to put it to the test, right? So what was interesting was at the time when we transitioned, my wife and I were doing a lot of triathlons. Well, my wife being pregnant, not so much anymore. But we always did a very similar loop. We always did the tri-dash in Bangkok when we lived in Bangkok. It's a very nice triathlon. So if some of the listeners are wanting to give triathlon a try, do it because it's really, really good. And the good thing was it was comparable. So it was the same loop. It's the same loop all the time. And I've been doing that triathlon for maybe 3-4 years. So what I had some data from how I used to go before and how I used to go after the plant-based transition. And what I found was really, really interesting is with our second daughter being born and not being able to train so much and having less sleep, more responsibilities as a new parent, right? I still, with the plant-based diet, still put in a similar performance. Actually, the first time I tried tri-dash after being plant-based, I was 1 second faster than when I was still on a vegetarian or plant-based diet.
Oh, that is some impressive results that you got.
I know, less training, more stress, and better result.
Actually, we should try like that.
Yeah.
Much faster and get better results.
And really, truly, the only thing, and this is where I have to make a little caveat, that worked for me, right? And then, so if we talk about bio-individuality, this diet suits my system, my body. And so this is right for me, but it doesn't mean that it's right for anybody, but we can all give it a shot. We can all give it a try and see if it works, because if this is something that works for you, you will find the differences really, really good.
Okay, I see. And Erik, I would like to hear about your opinion that a lot of people mention that when you take you being a plant-based, right? It's give you like less energy, or maybe like you lack of a lot of minerals like the zinc, the my vitamins, a lot of things. So what's your thought about it?
I always ask a counter question if somebody gets it. Where do you think the minerals and the vitamins come from? They come from your food, right? The most minerals and vitamins come from the plant-based foods that you eat. So your legumes, beans, leafy vegetables, they all have the trace minerals, and I don't think you're going to be deficient if you are moderately active and you change to a whole foods plant-based diet. You will get enough nutrition, especially concerning the vitamins. The one vitamin that my family and I use is vitamin B12. So we supplement with that. And occasionally I will take, maybe once a week, I'll take a multivitamin simply because we train a lot and it's hot and we sweat out all these minerals that maybe sometimes it's good to add a little bit into the system. But I don't think being on a plant-based diet is going to have you lose any important macro or micronutrients. The only thing that you want to make sure of is that you get enough of the macronutrients, especially if you're an endurance athlete. You've got to make sure that you take in enough calories and that you get enough macronutrients.
Okay, right. So I really like that you mentioned, about like the nutrition. It's the outside factors, like the nutrition is more important, not just only like you mentioned, okay, you be eating the meat or you being a vegan, but it's like, how are you so sure that, your daily intake is enough and it's right for you, even though you say that, okay, you eat healthy, but sometimes it might not enough, right? And I keep hearing about from the sport or workout performers, keep mentions about the protein is really essential, it's very important. So what's your thought about like why the protein is playing such an important part, for all the workout performers?
Yeah. Well, that's the eternal question, right? Like especially if you're in the gym, if you're doing a lot of training, you're essentially damaging your muscles, right? And that sounds a bit contradictory, but every training breaks down muscle tissue just a little bit. And then what the body does is when it recovers a little bit better than it did before. So you grow your muscle over time. The way that the body builds back the muscle is with the use of proteins. So protein are the muscle repair, the recovery macronutrient, right? So you want to make sure that if you train, that you have enough protein in the system. That can be an issue for a plant-based diet. Simply because of the volume that you eat, right? So what I started doing when I discovered your product was to make sure that I just add 1 scoop a day so that I get like a base of the protein already. And then with simply eating whatever I ate already before, I now know that I'm 100% that I reach my daily target of protein intake. The rough guideline that I give my clients is make sure that you get 2 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. So for me, I'm around 70 kilos, so that would mean that I need to have 140 grams of protein per day, and then 1 scoop of extra in my smoothie in the morning already sets me up for the day. Gives me already 26 grams of pure protein. And that helps me to whatever training I do, that my body already has the building blocks to recover better, to start that recovery process.
Okay. So how does the protein associate with the workout or the sport performance? Like you mentioned, the nutrition's for you, this is best for you. So I believe that, different kind of activities, the routines, the protein is probably going to play a different kind of role as well. For example, like for people, going run a marathon, how it's associated, the protein, how protein associates with all of each type of the athlete.
Depends on what phase of the training you're in. If you're really in building the volume out towards your first marathon, if you're really going for the first time you run 30K, right? Something like that is that's in that phase you really want to make sure that you build up the muscles and make them strong enough so in that phase you really want to have your protein. If you are doing a lot of volume, then also you have to make sure that you get in enough your fat burning and your calories, so your other macronutrients should be in a good balance there as well. And closer to race day, if you start to really go more at higher intensity, like a HIIT HIIT class or like my wife does CrossFit. Like she wants to make sure that when you really tax the muscles at high intensity, they need the protein to be able to build back. And that those points in your training plan, the protein is really important.
So the protein itself play different kind of roles that you mentioned. And can you explain a little bit further on what the high performance nutrition is? Because I know like for people like who play, for example, like your wife, be CrossFit, and for me like as just a runner, probably gonna be
you're a runner. You don't want to be a bad performance in a race or an event should not be your own fault, if that makes sense. Your nutrition being on point, that's something that you can control. So you don't want to have a bad performance because you forgot to take an energy bar or you forgot to fuel properly, right? That's a silly mistake. So the high performance nutrition, I think what it means is that you tailor your intake to what you are about to do. And so what it means is like, I always say, what do you do in the weeks leading up to the race? What do you do in the week of? I remember making a very silly mistake of eating a huge pasta dinner the day before a race because I thought, I need to be carb loading, right? So I was eating pasta. And then it was a morning race, or it was a 3 a.m. start, and I got to the start line, and my tummy was just full, and it was unpleasant, and I hadn't digested the food yet, and I simply overate in the carbs, and there was no way the glycogen that the carbs are being turned into that I could get that into my system fast enough, right? So I just ran that race with a big lump of pasta in my tummy, and those are silly mistakes, right? So your high performance nutrition means taking the right nutrition at the right time when you need it.
Right. Because I keep hearing as I've been running the marathon, people keep saying, the day before you can load the carb as much as you wish. We just keep eating. Now I got your feeling.
Should I have a really big breakfast? No, eat what you normally eat before a marathon. 2 slices of bread or whatever is your daily routine. Do that, and then make sure that in the race you don't deplete your glycogen, right? So you should be taking gels during the run, depending on how much time you think you're going to use.
And I heard that, from like the been there, done that experience, on your end, you kind of wrote the ebook for the people, who need the right nutrition, as you mentioned, like the right high performance nutrition, especially for specific race that you attend to. Can you tell us a little bit more on this and how we can access to your nutrition ebook?
Yes. So when I started the coaching and started to write my philosophy, my method of effortless running, I also got that question quite a lot about how to prepare. I made an ebook of that, and kind of what I explained before was saying, how do you use nutrition in the lead up to the race, kind of on the week to the race, and then what should you do on race day. That kind of gives you a rough guidance of how to work towards that goal. And what I would love is for your listeners to have access to the ebook and make it, put it in the link or something.
Sure.
Can use it.
All right, we can provide the link, yeah, for the audience, who've been watching this video, all right? And yeah, it's very important questions today that that we get to know each other, through the product, which is the X-Trail protein. That would like to ask you, I heard that you've been trying our product quite for some certain time. So tell us a bit more that what's the difference when you first try. And how do you feel? And then what do you see like the difference from the X-Trail product compared with the others in the market?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe is it okay if I introduce Susie?
Oh yeah, sure. Please welcome her here.
So, Dan, this is Susie. And we have been using the product, the X-Trail protein, for the past month now, I'd say, and I'm really happy with it. It's very easy to digest, has a really nice flavor. It's not so sweet. Some of the other plant-based proteins I find really, really sweet, so I don't like that. And what I love about the product is that it's got the 5 Thai herbs. It's spicy.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good addition, and I like it, but our whole family actually likes it. So
Susie, can you tell about yourself a little bit more, because I heard from Coach Erik that you were like doing the CrossFit, and yeah, can you please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit on your background?
Yeah, so I've always been active in my life, and Erik went through this phase of running, and like he's always going through a phase, but like going into distance races. So then a few years ago, I also got into long distance running. So the difference is Erik is then going for performance, and I'm like the regular people that go to finish a race, right? If you speak about the 50K, I did 100K. So it was about finishing, where Erik is really getting in a time, right? So that's a difference there. But yeah, and then I went through a yoga phase, and so now I'm in my CrossFit phase. And the difference between the CrossFit phase for me and maybe different phases of yoga is that now there's a bigger like ask of the muscles, in the sense of like it's weights, right? It's really the resistance you try to overcome of a barbell to lift it above your head. But in the CrossFit, it's interesting because it's not just lifting weights. It's also running, right? And it's also like pull-ups, gymnastic parts. So when I started doing that, like there was a very different ask of my body, in the sense of what Erik spoke about, the muscle fiber get broken down a little bit in every training session. And then you get time to repair. So, and a little bit of my nature is that if I jump into something, I go all in. So now that means that I go almost daily to my CrossFit session, which gives my body only a certain amount of recovery time, right? So that's when your beautiful product came in, and I feel using the product, I'm quite in tune with my body. So it's almost like I can feel the stiffness. I can almost feel that these muscles are, working hard to overcome that little breakdown, little tears. And so first of all, it really tastes good. So if I use it, I sometimes would mix it with almond milk or pistachio milk or soy milk. Or if I'm on the road, I just bring this, I put some powder in it, nothing, no liquids, put it in my bag. Yeah. And after the training session, I add water and shake. And it really, like after a hard training session for me, I really kind of like crave the first fill up of recovery. And that's when I use this. And I think the texture, I'm also like, I love good texture. The texture is good and the taste is good. And especially it makes me feel full. So, after sometimes with the plant-based products, if you go salad or like these things, there's not many calories and I just burn a lot and I'm in need of energy. Yep. So then using this makes that I snack less. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't need like, I need to eat more or I'm still hungry. I eat my lunch still, but then after training, I use this. And that's the first fill of my body to be like, entering recovery state.
Wow.
So I'm very happy with it. So thank you so much for your beautiful product.
Yeah, much pleasure and very glad to hear that both of you really enjoy our expert product. And I heard that both of you like love in different kind of flavor as well, right?
We have a little fight going on in the house. Susie likes the chocolate flavored more, and I like the original flavored one. So it's good that we have our separate bottles that we can take whatever we want. But in the morning, we have to decide which one goes into the smoothie for the family. So then whoever gets there first is the flavor that we use for the day.
So yeah, go ahead.
It's so great because who doesn't like chocolate, right? So then it's almost like a chocolate milk, especially if you mix it with milk and you're like, whoa, this is chocolate milk that's gonna help my body to recover, to help my body repair and get stronger. So it's even like a little nice thing to take in after training.
That's right. Like who else doesn't love the chocolate? Like because I'm a fan of that flavor as well. Yeah, my team.
Maybe it's because I already eat chocolate, so I don't need more chocolate. I like the original.
Okay. A lot of people kind of like not quite sure when we do like the original flavor. Coach Erik, can you explain like what's the difference? I mean, you tried both, yeah, like the sweetness or anything that tastes this. Is there any funny taste in your thought about the original flavor?
No, it's white. It looks like vanilla, but it's not. And I think what is so lovely about the original flavor is that the mangosteen that goes in it and the turmeric and so they're all very subtle. So it's you're not going to get a huge burst of like something is really overwhelming. I almost think it's like when you mix it with milk, with plant-based milk, you don't interfere with the other flavors that the milk that you're thinking of that you're getting. If that makes sense.
Yep, that makes sense.
Use the chocolate, it turns into chocolate milk and it tastes like chocolate milk. But if you use the original, then it just tastes like the plant-based milk and with a little extra. It's very subtle, and that's subtle.
Yep, either way, yeah, I really enjoy that too, and I'm really glad that you both enjoy both flavor. Yep, and I enjoy our product as well. So I heard about Susie mentions like what extra proteins help you in terms of recovery, in terms of the workout, the muscle itself. What about you, Coach Erik? Is there any effect on your performance or any recovery on your end?
Yeah, totally. One of the dangers that I get is that when I train really, really hard, is that like I already have a small face that it really becomes like hollow-eyed and things like that. Professional runner, I guess, kind of looks like. With the protein, I find that it fills me up. It actually helps me to retain my muscle mass better. Yeah, it just shortens the recovery cycle. It helps shorten the recovery cycle even more than the plant-based diet already does. And it makes me, like Susie said, it keeps me full for longer. So I don't feel that I have to eat all the time. Otherwise, I feel like I have to like eat all the time to just get the volume of food and the amount of calories. And this is just a really good way to give me a full feeling.
Wow, that's great to hear from you. All right. I think it's such a pleasure, like to hear all your story, like where you're from, like how you switch, to be a vegetarian and vegan, also all the performance. It's really helped our audience, to decide whether they're gonna keep, eating meat or maybe less meat, to be I would say like flexitarian. Yeah, that's a good one, but it's really helpful for your informations today, and also like your feedback that you really enjoy, both of you, your whole family as well, that enjoy our products today. So it's such a pleasure today that I have you both with Extrail interview today. So last but not least, I would like to thank you, both of you, for your time, such a precious time today, and such very useful information, for all the audience and especially for our fans that who have such a high performers, to enjoy all of this. And then you're such so kind that provide all the ebook access, for our fans as well. Last but not least, I would like to if people who are watching this video and would like to follow you, where we can follow you on Coach Erik and Susie as well.
So if you want to follow us, you can go to Effortless Running. You can go to the website www.effortlessrunning, or on Facebook it's Effortless Running, or on Instagram it's Effortless Runner, I think. Or you can even follow me on Twitter. But probably most informative is what you said, the YouTube channel of Effortless Running. That's where you find loads of information on how to run properly. I would love it for people who are serious about their running, and they must already be serious if they are using your product, and they're serious about their nutrition. Then if they want to become more serious about their running, they're more than welcome to contact me. If you happen to be on Phuket in Thailand, then please come and visit the Effortless Running Lab. That's where we do the motion video analysis, which is super cool. You can do that too. You make an appointment there or to come and visit me.
All right. What about Susie?
Well, you can follow me Instagram. My first name is Suzanne_Van.
Wow. All right. We will put the link here, for people to follow both of you. All right. Okay. สำหรับวันนี้นะคะคิดว่าสำหรับแฟนของ Xtrail ทุกๆคนนะคะก็คงจะได้ความรู้กันแบบอิ่มๆแน่นๆจุกๆนะคะแล้วก็เป็นประโยชน์มากๆเลยนะคะสำหรับในเรื่องของ nutrition เอง performance เองนะคะรวมไปถึงเพื่อนๆใครที่สนใจในเรื่องของการที่จะเปลี่ยนนะคะมาทานอาหารที่เป็น plant based ก็ตามทีรวมไปถึงการทานโปรตีนด้วยนะคะวันนี้คิดว่าไม่ว่าจะเป็นคุณ Erik เองหรือว่าคุณ Susie เองนะคะวันนี้ก็ได้มาให้ความรู้มากมายกับทุกคนนะคะสำหรับวันนี้ก็พวกเรา3คนนะคะก็ต้องลาไปก่อนนะคะ Alright, so we're gonna leave it for today. Alright, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Happy training.